Medieval astrology. Let's talk about it. Let's learn about it. Because this is an original advanced compendium of medieval astrology, planetary hours, midpoints, and sensitive points, essential dignities, sect and haze, Arabic parts, and practical art. Here we see the Chaldean order from descending speed and traditional sequence, with Saturn starting, then Jupiter, then Mars, then the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and then the Moon. This is in the tradition of Ptolemy, Dorotheus, Mashallah, Abu Mashar, and Bonetti, synthesizing new for the serious student of the social art. The hours are the pulse of the day. You see the midpoints are the hidden joints of the chart. Together, they reveal the living architecture of fate. So, the medieval cosmos, and the need for this compendium in this video. So, medieval astrology was never a single doctrine, but a living synthesis. Hellenistic foundations transmitted through Arabic and Persian scholars, refined in Latin Europe and applied by physicians, rulers, and city magistrates. Its genius lay in the interlocking of multiple systems, the central dignities, planetary sect, the lots, the fixed stars, and the temporal rulers of the hours into a coherent language of fate and election. This compendium is original in its arrangement and emphasis. It places two understudied yet profoundly practical techniques at the center. The planetary hours, Orbe Planetarum, and the concept of the midpoint media loci, understood not merely in the modern Uranian sense, but as a medieval sensitive point arising from the geometry of the luminaries and the planets. From these two pillars, the remaining apparatus, dignities, sect, Arabic parts is shown to radiate. The goal is practical mastery. The goal here is practical mastery. So tables, diagrams, and worked principles are provided so that the reader or viewer may calculate, elect, and interpret with the same instruments the medieval magister employed. So we see that we have the planetary hours first, and the Chaldean order, logic of the hours. So the 7 visible planets were ordered by the ancients according to their apparent speed or distance in the Ptolemaic system. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Moon. This sequence, the Chaldean order, is the spine of the planetary hour system. Each planetary day begins at sunrise and is ruled by one of the 7. We see the first hour of that day is ruled by the same planet, and subsequent hours follow the Chaldean sequence in endless rotation. Thus, Sunday, Dies Solis, begins with the sun's hour, Monday with the moons, Tuesday with Mars, Wednesday with Mercury, Thursday with Jupiter, Friday with Venus, Saturday with Saturn. The night hours continue the same sequence without break, so that the ruler of the first hour after sunset is the next planet in the order after the 12th daylight hour. So the unbroken Chaldean sequence that generates both day rulers and hour rulers. And now calculating the length of a planetary hour. A planetary hour is not a clock hour of 60 minutes. In the medieval method, the period from sunrise to sunset is divided into 12 equal parts. So day hours, and the period from sunset to the next sunrise is likewise divided into 12 equal parts, the night hours. Consequently, day hours are longer in summer and shorter in winter. Night hours reverse the proportion, and the formula is elementary. You see length of one day hour and the length of one night hour. So the length of one day hour is time of sunset, subtracting the time of sunrise and dividing by 12. And we're doing the same, not really, because we're doing the time of next sunrise, subtracting the time of sunset, divided by 12 for the length of one night hour. So once the length is known, the successive hour rulers are assigned by counting forward in the Chaldean order from the day's ruler. The same procedure applies in the night, continuing the sequence from whatever planet ruled the final day hour. Planetary hours of Sunday, for example, the following wheel shows the 12 daylight hours of Sunday, beginning with the sun. The same principle yields the night hours by continuing the sequence after the 12th hour. So here is planetary hours of sun's day, daylight, with the sun being the day ruler. So we see suns in that first, then Venus in the second, Mercury in the third, Moon in the fourth, Saturn in the fifth, Jupiter's in the sixth, Mars in the seventh, Sun in the eighth over here again, Venus in the ninth, Mercury in the 10th, Moon in the 11th, and we see Saturn in the 12th. So it's going around, right? Remembering that Sun is the day ruler. So here we see a complete table of day rulers in the first hours, at least the first 6 planetary hours of each weekday with the day rulers. So weekday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We see the day ruler. So for Sunday is the Sun, for Monday is the Moon, for Tuesday is Mars, Wednesday Mercury, Thursday Jupiter, Friday Venus, Saturday Saturn. We see the first hour. So Sunday Sun, first hour would be Sun, second hour for Sunday would be Venus, third hour would be Mercury, fourth would be Moon, fifth would be Saturn, sixth would be Jupiter. Monday, the first hour begins with Moon, second Saturn, third Jupiter, fourth Mars, fifth Sun, and sixth Venus. For Tuesday, we see Mars, the first hour, Sun, the second hour, Venus, the third hour, Mercury, the fourth, Moon, the fifth, and Saturn, the sixth. Wednesday is Mercury in the first hour, Monday, Moon, the second hour, Saturn, the third hour, Jupiter, the fourth, Mars, the fifth, and Sun, the sixth. Thursday, Jupiter, first hour, Mars, second hour, Sunday, I keep saying the weekdays, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry guys, Sun, the third, Venus, the fourth, Mercury, the fifth, and Moon, the sixth. Friday, Venus, the first, Mercury, the second, Moon, the third, Saturn, the fourth, Jupiter, the fifth, Mars, the sixth. Saturday, Saturn the first, Jupiter the second, Mars the third, Sun the fourth, Venus the fifth, and Mercury the sixth. So practical uses of the planetary hours, medieval electional astrology, and magical practice relied heavily upon the hours. A few classical applications: hour of Jupiter, favorable for petitions to authority, legal beginnings, expansion of wealth, and any matter requiring benevolence or growth. Hour of Venus, suited to love, marriage, negotiations, artistic work, and reconciliation. Hour of Mercury, ideal for writing, commerce, study, travel arrangements, and divination. Hour of the Moon, good for journeys by water, changes of residence, and matters of the body, avoid for permanence. We see hour of Saturn, used for restriction, endings, agriculture, building foundations, and binding, also for contemplation and the study of hidden things. Hour of Mars, surgery, conflict, bloodletting, and decisive action, dangerous for peacemaking. Hour of the Sun is authority, preferment, gold, and the seeking of favor from the powerful. The most powerful elections combine a suitable planetary day with its own hour. For example, Thursday in the hour of Jupiter, and when possible, place the relevant planet in a strong, essential, and accidental dignity, while free from the rays of the malefics. Medieval midpoints and medieval sensitive points. So the concept of the media loci, which is just a midpoint. Although the modern midpoint technique is associated with the 20th century Hamburg schools, the underlying geometric intuition is ancient. Whenever two planets or a planet in an angle are considered, the point lying exactly halfway between them on the ecliptic is a sensitive locus, a place where the combined influence of the two significators is concentrated. Medieval authors did not develop a full midpoint cosmology, yet they employed several techniques that are midpoint operations in disguise. The most important of these is the calculation of the Arabic parts, lots. The lot of fortune is constructed by taking the arc from the sun to the moon reversed by night and projecting that same arc from the ascendant. Algebraically, this is equivalent to a directed midpoint relationship among the 3 points. Other lots follow analogous formulae, thus the medieval astrologer already worked with sensitive points generated from the mean of luminaries and angles. So here I see the midpoint is a sensitive point on the ecliptic, and the hidden mean between the two significators, geometric midpoint of 2 planets on the ecliptic circle. Planet B at 120 degrees, midpoint at 60 degrees, and planet A is exactly at 0 degrees. So anti-Saya and contra-anti-Saya is mirror midpoints. The anti-Saya shadow points are another medieval sensitive point system that functions as a midpoint geometry. 2 degrees are anti-Scion to each other when they are equidistant from the Cancer-Capricorn axis, a solstitial color. The midpoint of any planet and its anti-Scion always falls on 0 degrees Cancer or 0 degrees Capricorn. Contra-anti-Saya are equidistant from the Aries-Libra axis. Their midpoints fall on the equinoctial points. These relationships were used by medieval authors for sympathy, hidden connection, and the transfer of influence. The lot of fortune is archetypal midpoint construction. So here we see the lot of fortune, day charts, and night charts. The classical midpoint derived sensitive point of the luminaries projected from the ascendant, the root of medieval midpoint thinking. So in day charts and in night charts, luminaries reversed. The resulting point is treated as a secondary ascendant of material and bodily fortune. Its house position, ruler, and aspects were examined with the same care given to the natal ascendant. Parallel lots exist for the spirit, the reverse formula, eros, necessity, and many specialized topics, marriage, children, death, etc. Each is a midpoint-derived sensitive point projected from an angle or another lot. Practical midpoint thinking for a medieval practitioner. An original synthesis useful to the modern student of the tradition. When two planets form a major aspect, a midpoint becomes a degree of heightened sensitivity, transitive direction, so that degree will activate the combined theme of the two planets. The midpoint of the sun and the moon, the syzygy midpoint, is already implicit in the prenatal lunation. It marks the fundamental life axis. The midpoint of a planet in the ascendant or midheaven often shows whether that planet's signification becomes publicly or bodily manifest. Midpoints involving the malefics, especially Saturn Mars, were regarded with caution. Those involving the benefics, Jupiter Venus, with hope of amelioration. And we see essential dignities. The strength of the planet's capacity to act is measured first by its essential dignity, its inherent strength in a given degree of the zodiac, and second by its accidental dignity, house placement, motion, relation to the sun, etc. The medieval scheme of essential dignities is fivefold: domicile rulership, exaltation, triplicity, term bound, and face deacon. So this is just a quick summary of the 5 levels of essential dignity, Egyptian terms omitted for space. The traditional medieval schema, we see the planet Saturn, the domicile being Capricorn Aquarius, the exaltation being Libra, triplicity being air, term being varies, phase varies. So we notice that the term and phase is varies for every planet here. And we notice that Jupiter is domicile Sagittarius Pisces, exalted in Cancer, and triplicity fire. Mars, Aries Scorpio domicile, Capricorn exaltation, water triplicity. Sun domicile Leo, Aries exaltation, fire triplicity. Venus at Taurus Libra domicile, Pisces exaltation, earth triplicity. Mercury, Gemini Virgo exaltation, triplicity is air. And Moon domiciles Cancer, exalted in Taurus, with the earth triplicity. So scoring systems varied. A common medieval method assigned numerical values, domicile adding 5, exaltation adding 4, triplicity adding 3, term adding 2, and face adding 1. A planet in its fall or detriment received negative scores. The sum gave a rough measure of essential strength. More important than the arithmetic, however, was qualitative judgment. A planet in domicile can act according to its own nature. A planet in exaltation acts with intensity and honor. A planet in triplicity acts with the support of its elemental allies. We see terms and faces or find the expression within smaller arcs. Triplicity rulers, day and night. Each elemental triplicity has 3 rulers assigned by sect. And we see the Dorothean system, most common in the medieval Latin West. We see the Dorothean triplicity rulers, day and night participating. Triplicity, day ruler, night ruler, and participating. So we see fire triplicity, the day ruler being Sun, night ruler being Jupiter, and participating Saturn. Earth triplicity, Venus day ruler, night ruler Moon, participating Mars. Air triplicity, Saturn day ruler, Mercury night ruler, Jupiter participating. And we see water triplicity, Venus day ruler, Mars night ruler, and Moon participating. Sect, haze, and the condition of being in or out of favor. Sect, or Greek heresis, Latin secta, is one of the most elegant and underappreciated doctrines of traditional astrology. The planets are divided into 2 families: the diurnal sect, Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, and the nocturnal sect, Moon, Venus, Mars. Mercury is neutral and joins the sect of the chart in which it is found, or is judged by its relation to the Sun. So we see diurnal sect, Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, day charts, haze when in sect and correct hemisphere, and our nocturnal sect, Moon, Venus, Mars, night charts, haze when in sect and correct hemisphere. So the 2 sects and their planetary membership. So we see a planet is in sect when it belongs to the sect of the chart, diurnal planets in a day chart, with nocturnal planets in a night chart. Further refinement produces a condition called haze. From the Arabic, the planet is in sect in the correct hemisphere relative to the horizon. Diurnal planets above the Earth by day, nocturnal below by night, with variations in the sources, and sometimes also in a sign of appropriate gender or element. A planet in haze is considered especially fortunate and able to act according to its best nature. A planet out of sect and out of haze is handicapped, forced to act against its grain, or productive of mixed results. Sect also governs the interpretation of the malefics. Saturn, the diurnal planet, is less destructive in day charts. Mars, a nocturnal planet, is less destructive in night charts. Conversely, each is more dangerous when operating against its sect. Arabic parts, lots, midpoint legacy of the tradition. The lots are the most explicit medieval expression of midpoint thinking. Each lot is calculated by the formula lot equals point A plus point B, subtracting point C. Where the 3 points are planets or angles, the result is projected onto the ecliptic as a sensitive degree, whose house, sign, and aspects are then judged. Hundreds of lots were catalogued by Arabic and Latin authors. A practical course set includes core Arabic parts with classical day-night formulae. So we see the lots, as well as the day formula. Night formulas. And signification. So we see a lot of fortune, body, wealth, material, luck, a lot of spirit, soul, intention, profession, a lot of eros, a lot of love, desire, relationships, a lot of necessity, constraint, compulsion, a lot of courage, boldness, conflict, a lot of victory, success, elevation, and a lot of death, quality of death and endings. The lot of fortune and the lot of spirit form a complementary pair. Fortune shows what befalls the native from the outside. Spirit shows what the native intends or projects. Their mutual aspect and house positions were carefully weighed. In medical astrology, the LOF, or lot of fortune, was linked to the physical body. In horary intellectual work, both lots served as additional significators of success or difficulty. Alright, synthesis, and then we're going to get into the closing admonition. So, reading with hours, midpoints, and dignities together. So the genius of the medieval art lies in the simultaneous use of several layers. A complete judgment considers the radical chart as essential and accidental dignities, sect, house placement, aspects, and the condition of the luminaries. The relevant lots, especially fortune and spirit, and each topical lot pertinent to the question, marriage, profession, death, etc. The planetary hour of the moment of birth of the question or of the elected action. The hour ruler becomes a co-significator and colors the entire judgment. Sensitive points, anti-Saya, midpoints of key pairs, sun, moon, ascendant, midheaven, malefic pairs, and any directed or progressed context to those points. The fixed star is not treated at length here, that conjunct angles or luminaries within a narrow orb. When these layers agree, the testimony is strong. When they conflict, the astrologer weighs the relative dignity and the radicality of each testimony, giving precedence to the more essentially strong and more angular factors. The planetary hour often serves as the final voice that tips a doubtful matter towards success or failure in elections. And a brief worked principle. So suppose a client seeks an election for deciding of a contract. The medieval procedure would include choosing a day ruled by Mercury or Jupiter, selecting the hour of Mercury or Jupiter, placing Mercury or the relevant significator in a strong essential dignity, preferably angular or in the 10th house or 11th house, free from combustion and the malefic's rays, ensuring the moon is not VOC, void of course, and is applying to a benefic, checking that the LOF or LOS is well placed, and confirming that no severe midpoint of Saturn-Mars falls on the ascendant or the cusp of the relevant house. Only when the majority of these testimonies are favorable is the election approved. And here we see our closing admonition with the Chaldean order descending speed traditional sequence. So the instruments collected in this compendium, planetary hours, midpoint, sensitive points, essential dignities, sect, and the Arabic parts are not mechanical keys that open every lock. They are the vocabulary of a sophisticated language. Mastery requires long practice, humility before the complexity of the heavens, and the moral seriousness that the medieval masters demanded of those who would read the will of the stars. Let the student begin with the hours, for they are the most immediately practical. Let him or her then study the lots which open the door to midpoint thinking. Let dignities and sect refine every judgment, and let the whole be held together by the living sense that the chart is a map of a soul's entanglement with time. So here ends the video. Peace and love. I'll see you in the next with more advanced astrology.